This is the 171st episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the second to last week of March 2014. This episode is titled Salesforce 15 Origin Story. CloudFocus Weekly is brought to you by The Permissioner by Arkus. Mass assign and revoke Salesforce permission sets. It truly is permission sets made easy. Hashtag Spring 14 is not ready for mass assignment. Available for free on the App Exchange or go to thepermissioner.com. I'm your host, Jason Atwood, and leader of the reading of promotional material. My co-host for today and today only is Justin Cranky Pants Edelstein. How are you doing, Justin?
Were you reading my face? Is that what happened?
Oh, yeah. I was looking deep into your soul.
I am cranky pants
You
today.
are crankier.
Oh, my God.
Well, you know what should make you feel
Get
good?
out of my way.
You know what should make you feel good?
No.
Being on the mic and talking to our fans.
Oh. Hey, everybody.
Send your comments to @JustEdelstein on Twitter. Tell him why not to be a cranky pants. All right, well, we have an agenda full of pants and crankiness. We have not one, but two blog posts to talk about that are on. We have Salesforce 15 to talk about. We're going to tell our Salesforce origin stories. And we have a little bit to talk about Spring Fling, a.k.a. Spring 14, a.k.a. Where Are You? Hashtag, boy, that was put off a long time. And then we have a little preview of two blog posts, one coming out this week and one coming out the next week. We'll just kind of like set it up there, get people excited for what's coming. And then we'll make our CloudFocus app pick of the week. Let's get it started with the two that went up on blog.arkusinc.com this week and last week. But first, let's start with your weekly apology.
I'm not apologizing for you.
Oh, that's right. I was away last week.
Yeah.
See, the difference is I don't have to apologize because I was actually working. I was flying around the country.
No one cares.
No?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't think
They don't care at all?
Not at all.
They don't miss me?
Not even a little.
They're not like, where's the podcast this week?
Nope.
The thing is, we gave them one last week. We didn't give them one the week before.
Right.
So like we
fooled
kind of
them.
we fooled them.
We
We recorded
fooled
on 1 week and we published it on the next week. So then you feel like we didn't have one, but we had one for last week. Yeah, sorry about that. It was a hectic week of travel and there was no time to do a podcast. So there you go. But we did get to writing some blog posts because those happen regardless, even if we can't get together in the same spherical table and talk. So let's talk about the two. Why don't you take one of the two the blog posts and just give me a little overview of what's there and why I should go read it.
Sure. So I'll just take chronologically the older of the two.
Okay.
A review of dataloader.io.
Nice.
We've done a lot on the blog post or on the blog about data loading tools and just tools in general, reviewing them. We've done Jitterbit. We've compared Jitterbit to the Apex data loader. I don't think we've ever written anything about dataloader.io. So we had the chance to use it recently because we were working with a client that had Professional Edition. And in Professional Edition of Salesforce, you don't have access to the API.
That's correct.
So you can't really use the Apex data loader. You have to find something else to use.
That's correct.
You can use the import wizards, but
Can I just stop?
slowing me down.
Can I
Go
just
ahead.
rat hold this for a second?
Sure.
Have you been able to get the new data wizard to
I
work?
don't even try it.
But have you got it to work ever?
No.
Have you tried? It gives me an error every
twice.
single time.
Once just to see what it was like, and I could have used it, I presume. I just didn't go all the way through it. And the next time, as soon as I dragged a file onto it, it errored on me.
Okay, so that's my experience every single time I've used it, and it's
But I
not just like
I haven't tried it.
I tried it-
since it went GA.
I tried it last week,
Oh no, I haven't.
and I got this weird error, and I just don't. I don't know. I'm
It's
stunned.
GA. It's not like pilot or beta anymore. Right? It's not listed. It doesn't have the little red beta next to it.
It still does.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I feel that it's acceptable.
It's acceptable just to error it out.
I feel like it is acceptable
right.
if it says beta next to it.
All right.
Like if it works, it works. It's like use at your own peril.
I'd love to, if anybody else can use that thing and actually seen it. I've never been able to get it to work. Maybe it's because I'm using the wrong file, but I'm using a CSV file.
It could be your browser. I mean, it could be a lot of things.
Chrome, Safari?
Could be.
Latest versions?
Could be a lot of things.
All right.
You never know. You don't know.
Tweet me at
as long as it
JasonMatwood.
says beta on it, and if it doesn't work, it's like, all right, this is like beta.
But isn't the point of beta so you can use it to see if it works?
Yeah, so if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's like,
Still beta.
It's beta.
Okay, all right, go ahead. So DataLoader IO by
MuleSoft.
Nice.
So we needed a way to basically we needed error logs and files, and we needed to export, not only import, because we were doing kind of like a repeatable process where we were doing some stuff manually off in Excel, like with VLOOKUPs for IDs, etc. So we needed something that would allow us to both export the data so that we can then get it in the right format, and then in a very repeatable, templated type of process, reload that data, or train someone how to redo it every month or so.
Right.
So with Professional Edition, we ran into some obstacles, but DataLoader IO to the rescue. Just worked with PE. It's a website. You OAuth into it. It's pretty neat.
So how is it getting around the APIs?
I don't know why you're asking me that question.
Because I don't know.
It's not my product. I didn't build it.
At MuleSoft, tell me how you get around the APIs.
I didn't do it. They do have some limits, like certain number of rows per object or something like that, but I don't know why or how their ability or how they have the ability to get around this particular limitation, but they've got it. So if you've got Professional Edition and you need to do repeatable data loads, take a look at dataloader.io because it's there, it's free.
Awesome.
Go for it. So we use the free version. They do have a more robust version, like a Professional Edition, that comes with dedicated support, connections to more than one environment, FTP support. So you can almost build a little integration, a very light one if you use their Professional Edition.
They're the world
Jitterbit. If I think about it, that's how I would think about it.
Yeah, the world of data integration tools has really grown. I mean,
makes you wonder when Salesforce will stop supporting DataLoader, the client. They're gonna be working on this data import wizard, and then there's Jitterbit and DataLoader and.
Answer, never. And I'll tell you, it's exactly the same reason why would someone go build their own permission sets assignment rule when there's a totally free and useful app out there, is because there are some organizations that can't go and get third-party apps. And so if they said no data loader anymore, got to go to a third-party app, that means all those organizations.
What happens if the wizard is good enough?
I don't think because the data loader, as we know, is being used by organizations on a command line basis. So you can take the data loader, throw it down on your Windows machine, and then command line it, meaning you can build an automation and you can build an integration with a free tool.
But I think with the tools on the platform today, you could do that without the data loader.
But how would you have it automatically pick up a file sitting on a local area network?
Maybe not on a local area network,
well, that's the
but
point.
Maybe on an FTP or something.
But the point is, the way they're using it today is they're take the data loader, you install it on a machine. I imagine
you can do something with local files, maybe a Java app or something that you can write.
I am quizzically looking at Justin.
You're quizzically looking at me, but I bet if put to the challenge, someone could figure that out.
You know what that has to happen, and it's beacons, and it's not nice. So anyway, that's why don't get rid of the data loader. I love all these other tools. I think they're great. It's actually just my issue is it's hard keeping up with them. Having tested a few of them, but I can't spend enough time with any one to become an expert in it. So I feel like I just go back to DataLoader, or for my case, LexiLoader, which is the Mac app. The next one is a fun blog post by yet another Arkus associate, never to be named, although her Twitter handle's at the bottom of it. So figure that one out. Is the Conga Composer 8 preview. So Conga Composer, for those of you who have never listened to the last 170 episodes of this podcast, is a application on the App Exchange that allows you to take data within Salesforce, reports, queries, and build them into external documents like PowerPoint, Word, Excel, PDFs, which is the most useful. It is a great app done by a great company. It used to be called App Streams. Now it's called Conga, and they make a product called Conga Composer. They have great support. Awesome. And we get nothing from them from doing this other than we just really like their product. So Conga Composer 8, their newest version. $1 million every time I say their name. They are releasing a new version, which is coming soon. I think we have a beta, or we tested a beta. It has a lot of new features. I'll just say, go read the article, go read the blog post. It does talk about it, blog.arkusinc.com, and there's stuff in there. The big one really is just the wizard to build stuff is now much nicer looking, and so a lot more drag and drop. And in fact, they're sort of going against their competitor DrawLoop, which had I won't say had a better wizard, but kind of had just an easier drag and drop wizard. So now they've done a lot of that, and so great stuff. Go read up on it. We posted a blog post about that.
Yes, we did. Features coming soon.
Coming soon.
With a screenshot.
And
it says beta right in the screenshot.
So if it doesn't work at all, that's fine.
That's right.
And a little hint as to 2 coming up, because we may not ever do another podcast ever again.
Hey.
Well, because Justin might be on vacation again.
No. Not until May.
Oh, it's going to be terrible.
May's going to be a bad month for
Can we record 6 little podcasts?
Have to do ones that don't really talk about much of anything newsworthy.
It's this. We have to figure that out.
Maybe Spring 14 will be out by then, and we can talk about it.
Man, we should just record one now about how cool.
We're just killing.
Oh, wait till we get to that little segment. Anyway, one that's coming up this week. So if those two blog posts aren't enough reason to go check out the blog, we have one coming up this week, probably post the next couple days. So maybe by the time you hear this, about synchronization sort of reviews of different synchronization tools for contacts and tasks and calendar events to and from Salesforce, so other than Salesforce for Outlook. So that's kind of interesting. And then next week, which I've already written, it's actually sitting in my private folder.
Why don't you share it?
Because I don't need to share it with you.
With everyone, why don't you just share it?
No, because I want to read it, because unlike some blog post writers, I want to read it over a couple times to make sure it sounds right. Okay. But anyway, it's called, I haven't really officially titled it yet, but it's about my sort of being on Salesforce, being on GTD for 10 years. Yes, drugs, the productivity drug of GTD. Okay. So I think it's 10 years on GTD or tips from 10 years on GTD, something like that. And that'll be next week. So we probably will talk about that. That actually might be a good one to do and then store. If we're going to do a double, to do that one and store it, because we could kind of review, I think it was almost a year ago that we did our GTD one.
We did the interview.
Right? So we could kind of come back and maybe do a recap or something like that. Anyway, so lots of fun. But in the meantime, in the last 2 weeks, Salesforce has released one of their new big campaigns. I guess more of a social media campaign than anything. Hashtag campaign. Because it's been 15 years since Salesforce, so hashtag Salesforce 15. Hey. They've been asking the community to tell their stories and what's your hashtag Salesforce 15 story. So I figured us two, who do a pretty much big Salesforce podcast, but with other stuff sprinkled in for the fun, we would tell our origin stories, which is the best part of any story, any superhero story. So these are our origin stories.
We're in part 4 right now.
Part 4 of our origin stories.
Well, the origin story, what are we in? We're not in the sequel. We're well into.
Maybe we're doing the prequel at this point.
We're doing the trilogy.
We're in the quadrilogy.
Where are we?
We're very, very far along. So I thought it'd be kind of fun. I mean, I think we have over the years spread in our when I did this, when I did that. But since it's Salesforce 15, let's tell our stories. So why don't you start, as you always do?
I do always start with
because I like to finish. No comment.
I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that right there.
You leave it right there on the table. There it is.
Made it worse.
Is it? It's Tuesday.
Is it Friday yet?
I just want to let everybody know it's a Tuesday, and we sound like it's a Friday. It's been a tough 2 days. So why don't you start off and give us your origin story?
All right. I'm trying to think of the year. I think it was 2007.
Wait, hold on. Sound effects.
Like looking around for hints, and I don't see any hints.
I can figure it out.
So what is this, like when I first came across Salesforce? Is
Yeah.
that the story?
Salesforce, your origin story.
All right. So I think it was 2007.
Because then I get to tell my story and have it be so much better.
Right. It was 2007.
Go for it.
And you and I, were working together at the large company that remains nameless to this day, although I think we've named it a few times. And we had a project to do a suggestion box, right? So someone came to us and said, hey, I need to build a suggestion box. And like this guy got up on the whiteboard and started drawing databases, and here's how it's going to work. And I need a database to store all this feedback from people because it's coming in through a shared inbox and it's getting crazy trying to track it in Excel. So we were going to build a database application to help route these things and help people try and solve these suggestions, and basically in a high touch way. And I think you had gone one afternoon to what was a CloudForce event in New York well before CloudForce existed.
You have to give a year here. It's
2007.
2007.
Yeah. So it was before CloudForce. It was before Force.com. It was Salesforce.com. And you called me from the event, and you said, hey, this thing is cool. Like, you can do a lot with it. And I said to you, can you do... I'm not going to give the name of the project.
Why not?
Can you do We Hear You with this? And you
really?
said...
Who are you protecting at this point? That company doesn't even
nobody.
exist anymore.
So you were like, I don't know, probably. So that was like my start. Was I was working for you at the time, and without even knowing what you were talking about, said, can we use it for this project that we just got a lot of money to go build this thing in-house?
Which I think we had like started scoping out and writing the requirements.
Yeah.
So just to give a little background, we were this pseudo tech group, which was between the business and technology.
Yeah.
We were like the creamy filling in the middle.
Really good stuff.
Wait, I'll leave that on the table too. There, it's on the table.
It's next to the other one.
It's next to the other.
Okay.
Next to that one.
So yeah, we were the goods. We spoke the tech and we spoke the business, and we helped translate between the two and get a project management office basically, and help get stuff done. So you ran into the reps for that company.
I'm sorry, he stalked me.
He was gonna find you. You had your name badge on it, and it had the company name on it, so he found you. And we had a meeting with them the next week, and in true Salesforce fashion, I think it was a week later, we had a working proof of concept up and running. And basically that was my first project with Salesforce, and I became the system admin because no one else was. So it was like, you're the system administrator. Didn't even know what that meant.
Right.
Didn't know what responsibilities I then had, but there was 25 users using this web to case kind of thing for tracking feedback from 25,000, supporting 25,000 people. And it grew from there, from those 25 users initially to a couple of thousand after we realized, oh my goodness, look what we just did. We were supposed to build an in-house database application, and we're allocated lots and lots of money, and look what we just did, and look how fast we just did it. And it was over from there. It was like, it
was like a weed.
It was crazy. It was like we were into some other things, and then all of a sudden Salesforce came around, and we had that, and it was like off to the races with the next project and the next project and the next project, and it was heads down all Salesforce all the time from there on.
It became what it was. I mean, part of the thing, and I'm sure people listening are cheering and saying absolutely, but back then, to really do anything that you wanted to sort of collect data, process data, move things around, you kind of you had Access, you had Excel, and then kind of really you were at this cliff where you needed tech.
Right.
You need to build PHP or websites or DB2 or, database models. And so the cliff was tough. And
expensive,
especially in a big organization that I think the minimum you could do at that organization was an $8,000 project. That was if you just wanted to wave to a developer in the hallway, it's $8,000. It's hey.
No, it was less than that. I remember it was
$4,000.
It was half of that.
Yeah, it was $4,000 to wave, but you couldn't do anything.
That was a week.
Yeah,
it was if you and it didn't matter what it was. It was I need a field added to the website.
Right. Change order.
Yeah.
$4,000.
$4,000.
Right.
Whatever. But anyway, that was the first foray into Salesforce, and of course we were at this huge organization, so we had Unlimited Edition and 2 full sandboxes and Premier Support Plus, and back then it was really, 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 really good, and you had an admin, it was
Premier Support
Plus admin, it was
right.
I remember a time where I tasked them to build, this was before running user dashboards, it was can you go build 630 dashboards for me, please? And they did.
Yeah, they did.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. So, no, that was it was the start at that company, and I just got entrenched in it. It was every moment was just working on. It started with that one little project, and then ballooned into many, many others. And if I wasn't working on a project, I was playing in the sandbox, and I was doing something with the help docs and building out stuff. And I remember when sites came out and mocked up the website on sites. It was oh, look at that, and showed it off to people, and it was pretty fun stuff.
Yeah. Incredible platform. Well, my story starts. Wait, hold on. Let me do it again.
Come on, Grandpa. Let's go, Grandpa.
So my kind of story is there's 2 pieces to my story. My story starts a little bit before that because I actually, this sort of 2 fits and starts. One was in the year 2000, way back in the year 2000. So if Salesforce is 15 years old and 2000 is 14 years ago, then this is basically the beginning of Salesforce, where I had just been hired away from a firm where I was the head of IT for a 60-person firm. I was pretty young at the time, 25, 26. So there you go, do your math. And I had this great job, and it was the middle of the IPO technology bubble, right before it burst, and I just had this feeling that I can't sit here with this great job in a not corner office, but in a windowed office in the World Trade Center. And I know, it's sad, but I just had this great job, this great corporate job. There was nothing wrong with it, but the only thing that was wrong with it is I thought, all these people out there with what I felt like was less knowledge than I am are making millions, and that's wrong. And B, I'm too young to be in this corporate job. This is the corporate job I should have, in 20 years when I'm sitting in an office and I get in, I do my work, and I leave, and I get good benefits, and yada, yada, yada. So I got offered to come to this startup, literally the 4th person on board, this little startup that's goal was to help education and build tools for education. It was called Got School, or Great Online Tools for School. Not a great domain name, but whatever. And so this person, I was the 4th person. They actually hired me on the side to do a little work, and then they kind of liked that I did the work. And then it was my ex-boss from my current job, and she hired me on. And, we were building small business stuff. So everything we had to do was sort of let's do it sort of technologically forward. So we did IP phones. I mean, this is, again, 2000, and we were doing VoIP phones, pick up your VoIP phone. I remember one of the greatest features of it was that you could take it home. You could take your phone, put it in your thing, and then connect it up, and it would ring just like as an extension because it was all over the internet. We did, obviously, websites and things like that. But when it came to sales, what did we want to... What was the thing we were going to do for sales? It's we looked around, and again, internet company building internet tools with, actually we did have servers, but at the time we were we need to be doing internet-based things. And so I worked with someone else who actually still a buddy and still work with, and we found and kind of rolled out, kind of small rollout, obviously, to a small company, Salesforce. And it was, I remember looking at it and playing with it. Again, I wasn't in the sales role, I was sort of in the IT side, but it was very, very rudimentary, very tabby, kind of like flat tabs, had a few different things in it. Again, the 2000 version of Salesforce was pretty small. My favorite part of the story is years later at Dreamforce, I think my first or second Dreamforce, 2000, 2007, 2008, I was sitting next to somebody, our premier support person, and we were watching, maybe it was 2008, and I was watching, you up there presenting and not paying attention because who wants to pay attention to you. I turned to our premier support person, who he knows what he's listening and he knows what I'm talking to, and I said, "Hey, can you look me up?" Because I knew I was in Salesforce, and I was like, "Can you look me up and find my account?" Because they're all email addresses. All email addresses are unique, and he did. And he pulled me up and pulled up my record, and I still regret that I didn't get a screenshot because it was when I first logged in and when it was created. But found the record, and then there took a gap because I went to work for the company that we never talk about, which no longer exists, and then it wasn't until I actually started using it personally in, I think, 2003, 2004. I was running a small, kind of side business, and me and my side businesses. And I basically wanted to track, and I just thought, you know what? I remember that tool, and I went on and purchased license. I had one EE license. No, I actually went up. I think I went from group to professional, and then eventually I had one EE. So I had until I think 2 years ago, I had it for 8 years. I had one EE license where I tracked customers and their
You're
things.
A big account.
It was a massive, with that renewal every year, that took them months to renew me.
Yeah. Do you recall? I don't know if you were there or not. It was definitely in New York. So, and this was a CloudForce event. It was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago when our sales engineer from the big company was talking, and he'd worked at Salesforce for a long time.
Yes, not the one with the balloons.
One with the balloons.
Okay.
And
it's on the table.
And he had a way of logging into Salesforce, like into some shadow version of it somewhere, and it was the original interface.
Oh, yes.
Like original interface.
Yes.
It was like when this new interface came out.
Right.
Like the nicer tabs.
Kind of the version we had before Chatter.
The version, right? And this is still like the same
Similar,
UI as Chatter, except there's Chatter. But it was when this first came out, and it was like, "Oh, are you going to turn on the new interface?" And I was like, "Yeah, we'll eventually turn it on, and whatever, maybe like the browser compatibility, yada yada." And he's like, "You want to see the original one?" I'm like, "How? Yes." So he logged into something and showed it to me. So I have actually seen the original interface, and you're right. It is like, it was very much like, here's Excel. Like, on
no inline editing. It was like, it had the big square buttons.
Inline editing didn't come around for a while.
It had, it had the basics. It had tabs, it had side nav, but everything else was very, very basic. If you just think of your 1999 website, that's what it kind of looked like. And again, they took a lot from Amazon. So remember, the original Amazon was all color coded across the tabs on the top. So books, and they only had 3 tabs, like books, music, other, but they were all color coded. So when Salesforce kind of copied them, they color coded everything, and they actually stuck to the color coding
for the most part.
Well, Amazon has gone off and stopped color coding things.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's our origin stories. It's fun. It's fun to look back. Like I have a doc that is the 10 years of Dreamforce, where I track all the Dreamforces and who went and whatever, and I have which years that you and I went to, and because sometimes it's just fun to kind of go way back in time. All right. Speaking of way back in time, there was a time. Oh, that's the other thing, is I've personally lived through, I don't know, 30 releases. I mean, how many? Over 10 years, I've at least lived through 30.
It's a lot of releases.
This is the second release that I've ever known that was this delayed, and the other one was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Remember that one that was like delayed for a while? They pushed it back months.
Pushed a while. I think it was winter.
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly what it was.
So what's going on with spring, kid?
Beats me. Performance issues? I don't know.
So is it just, and then we talked about this last week. We threw it out there.
I really don't know what this could be. Like, in reading through the release notes, like, what is it?
But it's here now.
Something.
Here's the thing. There's something in the orgs
there's
now,
something now
that is
happening.
messing up performance.
We know it.
I'm sorry. It's no longer rumor. That whoever's running my case can no longer come back to me and tell me it's about filters or anything. There's something in there. And you saw something the other day. Like, what did you see on like a dashboard or something? You sent me a screenshot.
Yeah, an inline dashboard. I might still have the screenshot somewhere. Let me see.
And it was just bad code in there or something.
Yeah, it was like a code snippet. And I feel like that's what it is. It's like the analytics have gotten so heavy in the org, and they've turned on like these trending type of things.
Right.
They're just storing a lot in there. And I feel like our org has suffered, and I feel like pulling all of those inline dashboards off of our page layouts, I feel like they kill it, even though they load independently. I feel like there's something with the amount of like power that needs to occur with like between the reporting on, like, I almost feel like they're using their reporting engine to do more than they have in the past, and it's suffering.
I don't know, and it's one of those things that I wish there's a little bit more visibility into, because there's definitely something going on. There's definitely a performance issue, and it's definitely, and I'm saying it here, it's tied to Spring, and I feel like in setting up for Spring, they hit these issues, and we've been noticing them.
Yes.
But it doesn't feel fixed. It feels like,
no,
so how is Spring coming? Spring 14 coming? I know how Spring is coming. Which will come first, Real Spring or Spring 14? I think Real Spring is going to come.
Real Spring.
Because Real Spring is like next week.
I can live without Spring 14 for another whatever.
Well, there's some amazing stuff in it. And I was even talking to clients last week as we were, doing this roadshow, and not that type of roadshow. It was not, getting funding, but it was talking to Salesforce customers. And we were talking about replacing the intranet and things like that, and we were talking about endorsements, and now I guess Spring 14 is live in the community, or at least maybe the chatter piece of it is, and so you can do things like endorse people for topics and things like that. That's very cool. Like, and announcements is in the org, in the community org, some neat stuff. So I hope they figured out. Again, the only thing really bugs me, and when we praise, and we just spent our origin stories praising Salesforce, there's something about this that just doesn't ring true. About there's something going on, and I think they should be honest about it and say there's something going on. We know that there are maybe inconsistent but sporadic and deep performance issues that you might be we are working on it. If you just said that, I'd be like, cool. But kind of just not saying it and deflecting tickets that I'm sending in and saying, no, it's your filters. I'm like, it's not filters on a report with 17,000 objects. That's a tiny, tiny amount of, and I have a filter on it, and I put multiple filters on it. Anywho.
Well, if you're reporting across 17,000 objects, that would be quite a report.
Records. You hate when I do that.
I do hate when you speak incorrectly.
Yes.
I do also like pointing it out.
Yes. Well, good job for you.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen performance issues. I feel like there's a lot in chatter now. Also, topics. They're gearing up for that. Like, think about the querying that, like, topics is taking the toll on that system. Every time you type ahead a topic, it's looking for it. And then, like, topics is just getting bigger in Spring. I mean, I hit the chatter tab, it takes a longer time to load. I hit the home tab, it takes a long time to load. It's like, why are these tabs taking a long time to load? Like, all right, if a report isn't loading, then fine, there's something wrong with the report, but these tabs shouldn't be taking a long time.
Chatter, home, and reports.
Yeah.
And chatter doesn't have anything to do with reports, so it's a little strange that chatter would be taking. I don't really hit the chatter tab ever. I pretty much go, well, I guess I do.
I hit the chatter tab constantly.
I never go to chatter tab. I just look at chatter. I mean, once a week I go in and check my chatter.
Oh, because I have my favorite lists and stuff in there.
All right. Well, speaking of your favorites, look at that. Sagui right there.
That wasn't bad. You didn't just make that one up.
No, I didn't. Oh, see, sometimes you have to make them up.
Yep.
Let's do our CloudFocus app pick of the week.
Okay.
We skipped it last week because we made basically 20 picks. 10 good, 10 bad.
A lot. So, yeah.
So you must have some sitting ready to go.
Yeah. So this one came from a listener.
First time listener?
No, a long time listener. You'll know who you are when I pick it.
You're not even gonna give him credit, direct credit. It's kind of terrible.
I can give Paul credit.
Thanks, Paul credit.
Waterlog. Spelled Waterlogue. Waterlog.
Woof. It's terrible.
Waterlog by Tin Rocket LLC.
Okay.
They make this cool app called Waterlog where basically you can take a picture and it's really cool the way it does it, the way it renders it. It basically turns the picture into like a watercolor, so like into a painting.
Okay.
It is really cool the way just the visualization of how it does it.
Yeah.
Because you put the picture into the app. You can either take a picture or you can go into your photo library. It pulls the picture in and it just skins the picture right down into like a black and white sketch. I don't know how it does this. And then it gets all the lines, and then you tell it like which kind of filter to use for the painting, and then it like paints it in front of you, and it just takes like a picture, what is a crisp image, and turns it into like a watercolored painting. And it's just a really, beyond just being able to create cool looking painting out of your pictures, it's just cool the way it does it. Like it just does it really, really, really. It's just so interesting.
Say cool one more time.
It's cool. It's cool. I don't know what else to say about it. It just does it. I mean, if you go to their website, waterlogapp.com, they've got a couple of them kind of like going on the site, so you can watch how it works, like right there on the iPhone. So I've done it with a bunch of photos, and like it works really good with, in my opinion, like portraits of people and landscapes. So like we have a really great view skyline by our neighborhood, Skyline NYC. Take a picture of that. You go into the Waterlog and you hit one of the paintings, and it really looks cool.
Oh yeah, it does. I mean I feel like this effect has pretty much been around forever under like Photoshop, but it's cool that it's kind of doing it in real time or on the phone.
It's just watching it happen is just kind of fun.
Yeah. That's very cool. Waterlog, and
it's $2.99. So if you want to spend, it's a little on the high side for what it is, but I like it.
It's amazing how we think. You imagine think, oh yeah,
$2.99 is so expensive.
I bought a coffee the other day at our local coffee place. Speaking of local, let's just get into our neighborhood. And you know how
I'm gonna guess how much that coffee was.
Well, guess it was more than $2.99.
I was gonna say, I bet it was like $3.50.
No, it was $3 for just a coffee. Maybe it was a large coffee. And I guess I went to Dunkin' today, and it was $2.60 for, well, they have the great one, which is like 17 gallons of
big coffee.
It's a big coffee.
In
Lasts you all morning.
Styrofoam cup. Too.
Yeah. But I was just
surprised you would go there and get something in a styrofoam cup. You of all people.
I know.
It's kind of not you.
I don't really do it that
often.
often.
Not your thing.
Nope.
Like if I
replaced all that plastic with SodaStream. I'm a SodaStream guy now.
I would see you like bringing your own cup. Like, you know how you can buy the cups? You should do that.
I should.
I think you're gonna.
If I did it daily, I would. But I do it like once every 3 weeks. I know.
And you're the guy who doesn't take a bag.
That's true.
No matter what.
Pretty much.
But you'll take a styrofoam cup.
You literally see me walking on the street with,
like, juggling.
Because I can
limes.
just juggle it. If I could juggle.
He's got like 6 limes and 8 bottles of tonic water.
What do you do with all that lime? Now I don't even take the tonic water. I don't buy tonic water anymore. I make it with SodaStream. If I could juggle coffee in my hands, maybe just have them pour it into my head.
Just pour it in my mouth. Thank you. Here's this funnel.
I don't know, something about 3, and the other thing is they gave back $3. I actually paid in cash, which I never do anyway, and they gave back $1, and I was like, this is doofusy, because it's to give you $1 tip on a $3 coffee.
On a coffee?
Well, but if it's $2.60, I throw the 40 in there. If it's $2.75, I throw the 25.
Why would you tip someone on like pouring you a cup of coffee?
Exactly. So
why did you do that?
I didn't, because it was $3. I gave back $7. And I was like, all right, well, you're not getting a tip. But if you give me back 25 cents, I would have thrown the 25 cents into the
tip jar
because I don't like change. Here we go.
Oh man,
lots of stuff going on. All right, I have my pick of the week.
It's not the coffee shop.
It's Sweet Leaf in LIC in Long Island City. Come by anytime. You might see some Salesforce people hanging out. Our neighborhood's
come by
like
after 7:00, you can get beverages.
Great beverages, and then take out your credit card because they're $15 to $20 each.
They are.
But they're good.
And they have fun ice.
Oh, yeah, they have great ice. But you need to have a cocktail before you go because waiting for your first cocktail is painful. So
you want to have 3 cocktails before you go, so you only have to have one while you're there.
That's right. Well, you only need
Keep
about
the bill
2
to
when
a
you're there.
minimum.
It's a lot of
So what's your pick?
stuff to drink. It's terrible. It's the worst podcast ever. You have destroyed this podcast.
I have not.
You have destroyed this podcast.
You started it with the grumpiness and putting stuff on the table. Here. I'm like staring at it.
They're still right there.
Gross.
They're sitting right there. All right. So this is a crazy pick for me, and it's a half pick because I did it out of frustration. I went to it for a bit and then I came back from it, and it's sort of my backup plan now. So under Mavericks, OS 10 Mavericks, the newest one that you're still not using, which I think I would say don't.
I'm not.
Mail took a huge hit.
That's not good.
No, it took a huge hit. And
not what I want to hear.
And the filters started working weird. Its thing with Gmail, it stopped working. It wouldn't check. It had problems. Well documented. I'm not making anything up. So they released 10.9.1, and it was supposed to fix all this stuff. And maybe I was in the middle of traveling or whatever. Mail just literally started to just not work for me at any kind of level, and I just reverted back to using Gmail. And the problem with using Gmail on the web is fine. It's great. It's great for one account, but I have 7 accounts, and so I want to have something that can. I want to be local, right? If you're traveling around, and I want to kind of be all my accounts because that's kind of how I deal with my email. I don't deal with it in silos. I deal with it all together, and I just pound through it. So I went looking. I'm like, I'm going to look for another mail app, and I'm going to find one, and I'm going to use it.
You didn't use Sparrow?
So I looked, and Sparrow, remember, was bought and then sort of discontinued. Remember, it was bought by Google.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't use that one, and I found a couple others, and I found this one called Airmail. It's the number 4 rated, paid app on the App Exchange or on the App Store. It's Airmail by a company called Bloop SRL, whatever.
Okay.
And highly rated, $2. So I was like, okay, for $2, I'm going to try it. And now everything that you have, all your mail is all stored in the cloud. So it's like you don't have to shift things around. You don't have to move it. Download it, installed it, and here's my take on it. It's a great light app because what it doesn't have is a lot of history. Like you can't go, I couldn't even figure it out because I played with it for about an hour. But when you search, you're kind of searching across whatever it has, like the 200. It's kind of like having, how you have on
the phone.
On the phone.
It wouldn't search server?
Yeah, it didn't seem to work that well and it doesn't have things like, inbox, filters and things. I couldn't get into it that well. So it was kind of a half pick. But what it was very light, very fast, and worked with Gmail. And so it's kind of, it is? It's my travel mail now. Because when you're on an airplane, you don't want it to try to index 400 things. I have so much mail sometimes that mail kind of bogs down. I want something like my iPad, my iPhone that just can grab the last unread messages, let me pound through them quickly, and then close it up. And, obviously saves things like tags and things like that. So anyway, I played it for a bit. It's Airmail. It's $1.99. It's got lots of features. Here's the one I really like. It's got a connection to OmniFocus.
Oh, really?
So I haven't played with that, but there's a way to click a button and it goes right into OmniFocus, which is kind of neat. So Airmail, I was almost all to switching over to it until I found the two things. One, the search is not as deep as Apple Mail search. Apple Mail search is I literally searched the other day for something in 2004. I said year 2004, and it found it. So for me, I need that history. I need to go back far and fast, and this thing didn't have it. So this is sort of like light mail. Airmail It is $1.99 by a company called Bloop, SRL. It's definitely worth a shot. Again, if you want something like, if you basically want the iPhone or iPad experience of Mail on your desktop, this is great. And that's where I'd put it in the category of Mail. Not a full switch from Mail yet. Mail's gotten better. It still has some stuff they got to figure out. Ugh, makes me so angry. All right. Speaking of things that don't make me angry, following Justin at Just Edelstein on Twitter. Tell him why not to be grumpy. Follow me, Jason M. Atwood, and tell me how MuleSoft gets around the API. Follow Arkus Inc. if you want to hear all the blog posts and all the podcasts as we put them out. Facebook.com/Arkus Inc. We're in the Dreamforce portal group and the Success Community group. Still don't know why those are separate. Hopefully they'll be joined soon. Go to LinkedIn, Google+, subscribe on, and review us in iTunes. We love that. Please do that. That's really powerful. We'll be back next week, I'm pretty sure. Although it's never direct. It's sort of maybe a semi-promise. And until the countdown to the wedding, the Edelstein wedding, which we're counting down the days. We're going to have to do doubles. This is Mr. Wedding and Jason saying, enjoy those cloudy days.